Hi, this is Ken Bastide, senior reporter for the Herald Bulletin. I'm with incumbent mayor Kevin Smith, who's running for a third term this November against Democrat challenger Tom Broderick Jr. Mayor, I think the key issue going into this election in November is economic development. And the city has experienced some good news this year, NTN Drive Shaft, Cermak, and several others. Where do you see economic development heading in the next 4 years?
First of all, let me point out that with the loss that we had so much, where the whole economy dropped out, really, our goal was to rebuild Anderson by attracting new industry into the city, to stabilize tax base, to give people job opportunities, and just as important, to demonstrate to the people of Anderson, that you're a winner as a city. And so we've been very proficient at attracting new industry. Great recollections of the Japanese companies, NTN, of course, the last one that you mentioned, Cermak, is under construction. NTN actually started moving ground yesterday. Oh, wow. Before that, it was Hypro Filtration that moved up here from the Indianapolis metro area. And our first one was GTI, which is a Japanese manufacturer. And it really, Anderson broke through a glass ceiling at that point when we were able to attract a Japanese company. We'll continue our pursuit of new industry into Anderson.
Right.
Absolutely. But we're going to also broaden our horizon. We have rolled out a plan for downtown, which is called Operation Downtown. 17 different projects in there. And the reason for that is downtown has a great opportunity for rebuilding retail and small business. So we have the major manufacturers that have moved in to both new buildings they build as well as existing buildings, and now we're wanting to expand our portfolio and really work on downtown. I see coffee shops downtown. Right. I see maybe a microbrewer or a brew pub downtown. I see small shops, sundry shops that they can sell things. I see working in partnership again with the Paramount and existing businesses downtown. Over the last 6 months or so, we've had, I think, 3 new small businesses open up downtown. So we're starting to move that way.
I thought one of the most exciting things that happened this year was the location of Cermak on the former Guide property.
Yeah.
It came off of I-69, got a little closer to the, I'll call the central core of the city, and there's still ground there for development.
Oh, much more.
So, do you see more industrial growth in that area in the future? There's a lot of ground available there, and there's even some buildings.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, of course, that was our first venture into kind of a traditional West Side, West 25th and Arrow, MLK area. And every major community that used to be involved in manufacturing has brownfield sites. Some sit for years and years and years, and they're a large challenge. So we really are very, very pleased that not only Cermak selected of all cities in the United States, Anderson, Indiana, but also selected a brownfield site. I think you'll see more added there over the next several years, but we also have some ground and available also further west that we have talked with the landowner about. So I think you'll see more growth as the flagship continues to fill up. Of course, one of our major initiatives, we really wanted to open up the I-69 corridor for Anderson for our next 50 years worth of growth to attract even more industry, more jobs, more business to Anderson, and of course the council thwarted that. So we really have to look at growing out some of these areas and use these resources that we have, like the interstate is very precious.
You mentioned the annexation that didn't go through south of exit 22. Have you thought about some possible annexation north of exit 226 toward the Daleville, Chesterfield area as possible growth areas?
Well, I suppose all that is possible. The issue for Anderson is we had some continuity that dated back before I took office in 2004, where the community had established an industrial park for Anderson to be competitive on the I-69 corridor. And with that came a lot of resources. At exit 222. We have a water tower, we have a major dedicated sewer line, obviously have road upgrades, 2 roads now, industrial roads out there, rail spur. All those things have been very attractive to get these industries in the city. North of here, at the other exit, does not afford those the same amenities. And so, you know, the city put a lot of time and resources thinking that we would expand down I-69, and of course, that wasn't done.
Okay. The other thing we haven't mentioned in terms of economic development is the Purdue Polytechnic, which is just under construction now. They're moving ground also, open I think next year. But that to me is the potential big game changer for not only Anderson but all of Madison County and the region, isn't it?
It is absolutely fabulous because, and we're very fortunate in Anderson because Purdue has had a presence here in a relationship with Anderson University for many years. But they haven't had a relationship with Indiana University, which means they're free to expand in Anderson and do many other things here. The Polytechnic Institute, what's fascinating about that is it really brings us, and I might add that I think we're the 6th in the state, or the 7th in the state of Indiana, so we're up front.
Right.
Other communities would like to have a Purdue project. But it's that nice mixture of Purdue expanding their educational opportunities here in the way of engineering, also bringing in then private sector, partnering with Purdue on research and development and design work, and also the educational aspect, because we have a lot of talent in Anderson. For years we were engineering capital of the world for Delco Remy,
right.
electronic engineering. Well, that's coming back now, and Purdue marks that step. Along with Kaheen, for instance, came in, and we're their North American headquarters for engineering now.
The other question I want to ask you, Robert, is if you're reelected, what would you like to see Anderson look like in 4 years?
Oh my. I think the direction you've seen it begin to head is where we're going to go full throttle. We really believe that we have a responsibility to make Anderson look very nice to attract new investment. We're going to continue to work on those important infrastructure corridors, the roadways into Anderson. You'll see us continue to work on downtown. I expect a totally different downtown when we're finished walking through this. You'll see more trail projects that we'll be working on all through the city to provide connectivity.
Yeah.
There are abandoned railways here that we would like to work on. I think you'll also see us move into some areas that we haven't touched yet because we were so focused on making sure that we crystallize, we solidify an economic base and direction for the city. We'd like to really work on some senior issues too. We'd like to have a senior citizen center that is centrally located, I think would be best for people. You'll see I think Westside Nickel Avenue corridor finally come into its own. It's such an important corridor that leads us to Westfield, Noblesville, and northern Indianapolis. You'll see us continue to work on that, and there'll be some changes coming up here in the next 30 or 60 days along there too.
Well, of course, one of the big things on the west side is a proposal by John Bastide to move the Township Trustee's office to the Edgewood Plaza, along with the Boys Club, which we've lacked for several years here. Does that kind of fit into your plans for that whole west side?
I think all that development, you know, we're really focused on economics. We're really focused on making sure that we can attract jobs in here. I went out and was speaking with Highland Middle School today, and I just asked them for their reality, how old are you going to be 10 years from now? And of course they're going to be 20 and 21 years old, and some of them 22 years old. And my point is, those kids are our future. And our goal is to rebuild a community that they have a stake in, they want to live in. They decide that they want to live here, they want to raise their children here, they want to place their kids in our school system, and most importantly, they want to work here.